Hey friends, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah from piesnprose, and today we're talking productivity apps. So if you know me, if you know anything about me, I love productivity and being organized and to-do lists and all of those kind of nerdy things. They are near and dear to my heart. I have to use a lot of different tools to stay organized. I would not be able to run a side business on top of working a 9 to 5, on top of having a life and doing all these different personal projects, getting a house. It's a lot. So apps are a huge part of my tool. What is it called? It's a tool and it's an important tool that I use, and I use a number of apps actually. So I'm going to share with you today my top 5 productivity apps that I use pretty much on the daily. If you're someone that's juggling a lot of projects, whatever it is that you're doing in your life and you need a little bit of productivity or organization, stick around. We're going to talk about that right now. So the first app that I'm going to suggest to you is actually my personal favorite app out of all 5, and that is Trello. Trello is actually becoming a lot more well known now that people are working from home and needing some sort of tool to keep a group of people organized or keep a lot of projects organized. And it's been around for a while. I actually used it to plan my entire wedding, and it was fabulous. So basically how Trello works, it's a productivity app in itself. It's 100% use for productivity and getting projects done and getting whatever it is you need to get done. So once you go into the Trello app, you're going to see things that are called boards, and boards are basically like the major platform where your project is going to be. So for the example of my wedding, the board would be called My Wedding, and then once you get into that board, you can add cards, and these cards are sort of like your subcategories. For the example of the wedding, it could be something like to do 8 months in advance, to do 6 months in advance, and then you would list all the different things that you need to do for wedding planning. All the things that you list under those cards are also cards. So it's sort of like a map where you start with something large and then you get down and down and down, and you can dissect as you keep going, which is fabulous for breaking down huge projects, something like a wedding. It works out really well. Once you get those general cards and then you start adding more specific cards underneath it, you can click into those specific cards and do even more. So you can add to-do lists, you can add deadlines, you can add notes, you can add descriptions, you can add people onto it, you can add collaborators at any given point throughout your entire board. So there's a lot of different collaborative and productivity tools within Trello, and it just keeps expanding. It gets better and better. It's really, really great for someone who likes to break down projects to a very small level and likes to make sure that they don't forget any single detail. Again, I use this to plan my wedding, but it is also something that I'm using to plan my home buying process. I'm also using it for meal prep ideas for Ian because he has a specific diet. I'm also using it for the food blog that's going to be coming out later this year. And I use it to do my content planning. So I use it for a lot of different things, different scopes of things, but they're all huge projects that I can look from a larger level all the way down to a very, very tiny level, which is extremely helpful. And what's even amazing about it is that it is free. I think there are paid options. I think once you start adding a lot more collaborators, or if you use it for business and you want like really specific business tools that they can provide to you, I think you have to pay money, but I use it 100% free, and I have been using it for years to get lots of big projects done, and it hasn't been an issue at all where I felt like I needed to pay for it. But that is to your discretion, and Trello can be used on your phone as an app, or it can be used on the computer. Say you're working on your laptop and you're getting some stuff done, and then you close off your laptop, but later on in the day you want to check your phone, you can absolutely do that. Everything syncs simultaneously, instantaneously, and it's just so perfect. I'm hyping this one up all the way in the beginning, but I promise the other 4 are going to be great as well. Okay, the next app that I'm going to be talking about is Google Keep. This is also something that I use a lot, very frequently, and is actually my second favorite. I didn't purposely rank this video, but it just so happens this is my second favorite one. And Google Keep is, long story short, it's a to-do list app. So you make to-do lists or you make notes. It's a note-taking app in a way, but it's not a note-taking app in a way that you would think in terms of school. It's more so like you can add your grocery list to it. You can add some notes that you wanted to jot down really quickly. You can add reminders in there. You can add whatever it is. Something that's really minuscule and specific to me is that I keep this color code. Like, you know, when you go on the computer and you're sort of designing a website, which I'm doing right now, there's a specific color that I like, and I use a code to make sure that I always get that right color, the hex code or whatever it is. I add that to my Google Keep, and whenever I need to grab that code, it's there. So it's that kind of note-taking app, and it seems very simplistic, and it is simplistic in that way. But you can do a lot with it. So like I said, I use it for a grocery list, and you can collaborate with people on Google Keep as well. So when I do my grocery list, I can actually collaborate with Ian, and so he can check it on his phone, I can check it on my phone, we can add individually, and it will sync instantaneously as well. So that's really cool. You can use it on the computer, like Trello, so you can use it on the web, you can close it, and then it'll be on your phone. And personally, because I have a Google Pixel phone, an Android phone, Android phones are compatible with a lot of widgets that are not like widgets that you manually make. There is a Google Keep widget, and so I have that on my phone. I have two Google Keep widgets on my phone, one for Pies and Pros and one for personal stuff that I can just look at my phone, and my to-do list is right there. So it's extremely handy in that way, and I can just click into that widget. I can add whatever it is that I need to jot down really quickly. It syncs into my computer if I have to look at it on the computer later, or I can just have it on my phone if I'm running around the grocery store. So super convenient, super easy to use. It does more than just to-do lists and notes. You can also draw in it. You can, like I said, do collaborations. You can add reminders onto it so it pings whenever you want something to notify you. You can do audio notes on it. Quite simplistic when it compares to something like Trello, but if you need something simplistic for whatever it is that you're working on, such as a grocery list, I keep using that example, this is absolutely perfect for you, especially if you have a Google account. It syncs a lot similar like to iPhone, where it has like the notes and the calendar, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the next productivity app on my list is Google Calendar. So you can tell I am a Google fan, and I use Google apps quite frequently. So Google Calendar is fantastic. I prefer it over the Apple Calendar. I don't know, it just feels like I can do a lot more with this calendar. It can do a lot more than any standard calendar. And what I mean by that is that it is very easy to use. It's a pleasant experience navigating through things. You can look through things in week form, daily form, monthly form, very easily. You can click through things. And when you look at it on the web, you can see a huge layout that is very easy to read. You'll have some important dates in the one section. You'll be able to see your entire calendar, but you can also see a mini version of the calendar there. So a lot of accessibility things going on there that I absolutely love. And what I love about the calendar app itself, like in terms of not just the way that it looks and how easy it is to access, but when you're adding things to the calendar, it syncs everywhere. Just like Apple, it's very convenient if you're working on your computer, if you're working on your phone, you can see calendar updates everywhere, wherever you need it to be. And the calendar updates itself, or the calendar events itself, you can either do events, you can do reminders specifically if you don't want it to show up on your calendar as a block. You can color code your blocks on your calendar. You can set notifications, you can add locations, you can add notes, you can add links, you can add collaborators. So it's a lot like a productivity tool in itself, even though it seems as just a calendar. But what's great about it is that, say for example, you have a meeting and the meeting requires a lot of different links and what have you, instead of it looking like an email notification, like in the example of Outlook, or if it was just a plain calendar and you can only just see a block on your calendar, this you can go into in the calendar. You can find whatever applicable links or resources or notes into the calendar event itself. You can color code it, so if you're a particularly busy person, like myself, and I like to categorize Pies and Pro stuff with a brown color and my personal stuff with a gray color to sort of, visually see like I'm having a busy day Pies and Pros wise, I'm having a busy day personally wise, and color coding is really important to me. So I love that. And I love that the calendar is color coded as well as Google Keep being color coded. So if you want to get really color coded crazy, you can do that. You can sync everything so that it matches up color wise, and I just find that to be so pleasant. I used to use Google Calendar as my planner every single day, and I would block off slots on my calendar, and I would kind of look at it as if it were my to-do list for the day. But what's great is that it has notifications so that it will ping me and tell me like, hey, stop working on this, you can work on that now, and it's all seamless. Okay, the fourth item on my list is another Google item. Don't get tired of me yet. It is something that is worth looking into, even if you are an Apple person. You can use it as complimentary. I use both. Google Drive. If you don't know what Google Drive is, it's essentially like, I like to look at it like Microsoft. So Microsoft has Excel, it has Word, it has Outlook, it has all these different things, presentations, PowerPoints, and what have you, all under this one blanketed term, Microsoft. So Google Drive is like that, your base for all of your documents, for your presentations, for your spreadsheets, for your documents, for your folders to keep files, for photos, for zip files, all of those things. All of it is there in your Google Drive, which makes it great because you can write documents, you can do like Word documents, it's very exportable, you can export it into PDFs, Word documents, whatever it is that you want. You can edit, there's spell check, all those different things that are associated with Microsoft Word. Similarly with Sheets, it is the same as like an Excel spreadsheet. So all of those things that you associate with like those standard Microsoft programs that we've been using since the beginning of the internet world, you can do it on Google Drive as well. And it's also color coded. You can make folders, subfolders, all the subfolders that you want. You can customize, you can organize however you want. And what's the most important thing about Google Drive? Unlike Microsoft, where everything needs to be downloaded onto your computer, Drive takes all of your files and all of your projects and all of your uploads, everything on the go. So that means you can pull it up on your phone, you can pull it up on your computer, you can be in the middle of nowhere, you can access it. You have all of your documents and all of your spreadsheets and all of your useful critical information in your hands, basically. You don't have to worry about sitting down at a computer and having to access a Word document or a PDF. Especially when I was a student, all of my work was on Google Drive, and I still have all of my college work there because it has so much storage. You can purchase storage if you want, but I don't purchase storage, and I still have a lot of space in there. I know it sounds a little outdated, and I know there are programs that do this, but this is still really amazing to me. And the fact that you can organize it so well, it makes it so easy to use on your phone instead of sort of toggling with an app that is meant for the computer, you know what I mean? And the last app on this productivity apps list is a little bit of an odd one. I kept it for last because I do know that it might be a little strange. Is it a productivity app? Is it not? Personally, for me, it is. And this app is called Lose It. So Lose It is actually more of a nutritional kind of app, and I use it for my nutritional productivity. Now, this might not be important to some people or a lot of people, but if nutrition is something that you're interested in, or if you're tracking, if you have a specific diet, if you're just wanting to keep track of your macros, your micros, whatever it is, if you want to calorie count, I don't suggest it if if you're not comfortable with it. But if that's something that is interesting to you and helps you feel productive in terms of your health and nutrition, I highly recommend this app. I started using it this year. As you know, I am a certified vegan health coach, and now that I have a little bit more knowledge on macros and nutrients and all sorts of different things in terms of health, this app has been able to help me track that on my own personal level, and as well as Ian, because he has a specific diet. Why it's so amazing as opposed to like your standard health app like Fitbit or your Apple Health or whatever, is that it goes beyond just calorie counting and steps counting. It does so much incredible work, and this might be nerdy, but it's fascinating to me to be able to see my carbs, my fat, my salt, my sugar intakes. It does count calories, it does track my steps and my exercise. It gives me an overview of the day in terms of whatever it is that I'm focusing on. Say, for example, you're trying to cut back on your sugar, you can track it with sort of like a sliding bar, and as you add your food in, it will just automatically track those things in there for you. So it's very accessible. You can access whatever it is that you are interested in through this app on a much more deeper level as opposed to calorie counting and steps. You can also track your water. You can add goals, so you have a goals page, and if you want to keep track of it on a goals level, you can see it right there instead of looking at the calorie counting or the macro counting. And it also has a lot of analytic tools in it, so as you keep tracking, it will tell you progress updates and how you're doing, how to improve if you want to, how to lessen a certain intake of something else. There's just a lot of different things that you can do in this app. For a health app, you do have to pay for it if you want the whole entire scope of features, but they have a lot of sales throughout the year, and you can still access majority of the tools for free. So still, recommend at least giving it a try if you're interested in that. Okay, and that is it for today's 5 productivity apps that I personally love and use video. Logan is jumping up on my lap right now, but I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you're going to use any of these apps. They will be linked in the description if you need to quickly reference them. And let me know if you have any particular productivity apps or tools that you use, it doesn't have to be an app, that you recommend, because I am down for trying anything, honestly. I love productivity so much, as you can tell from this video. That's it for this week's video. I will talk to you next week.